Good morning, everybody. My name is Ravanti, lecturer in zoology, Government Degree College for Women, Wanaparthy. Today, in this video, I am going to discuss about the general characters of Cyclostomata. Here, these cyclostomes are belonging to the phylum Chordata and they belongs to the subphylum of Vertebrata. So the phylum Chordata can be divided into three subphylums, namely Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrata. So now our topic is Cyclostomata, which is belongs to the phylum Chordata, in which it belongs to the subphylum of Vertebrata. And these cyclostomes are poikilothermic animals, that is cold-blooded animals, and these are actually jawless vertebrates, hence they are included in Agnatha. So here the term cyclostomata is derived from two Greek words. One is cyclos, which means circular, and stoma means mouth. So here these cyclostomes having a circular shaped mouth, hence they are named as cyclostomata. Then these cyclostomes body has a round body and which is a elongated body. So the body is always resembles the eel fish. So when we see in these pictures, the body is round and which is a elongated body, and at the anterior end there is a mouth which is circular in shape, and the body always resembles the fish of eel fish. And in these cyclostomes the paired fins are absent. So generally the fishes consist pelvic fin and pectoral fins. So these pelvic and pectoral fins are commonly called as paired fins. So these paired fins are absent in the case of cyclostomes. Only we can observe only median fins, isn't it? So in this picture we can observing the dorsal fin, ventral fin, and also at the tail region another fin is present, that is caudal fin. So these three fins are called as median fins or unpaired fins. So we can observe only the presence of median fins or unpaired fins in cyclostomes. The paired fins like pectoral and pelvic fins are absent, and these paired fins are supported with cartilaginous fin rays, and there are no paired appendages are present, and the skin of these cyclostomes are soft and smooth skin, and which doesn't consist any scales. And in these animals, in the digestive system, the stomach is absent, and pancreas and spleen is absent in these cyclostomes. And digestive system, even though lack of a stomach, but it is consist intestine, which is a folded like structure, which is also called as diplosole, and pancreas and spleen is absent. And in these cyclostomes the exoskeleton is absent but endoskeleton is present, which is cartilaginous. And a peculiar character of chordata, that is presence of notochord. This notochord is retained throughout the life. So this is the important point regarding the cyclostomata. The notochord which is present throughout the life of cyclostomes, and the nostril is only a single nostril is present, which is located dorsal mid dorsal position. And then coming to the heart, so the heart is consists of two chambers, one is auricle and another one is ventricle, and the respiration of these cyclostomes are carried by gills. So the number of gills when we see in these cyclostomes, which are arranged between 5 to 16 pairs. So 5 to 16 pairs of gills are present in the lateral sacs of the pharynx, the paired gill pouches called marsupials, and gill slits are 1 to 6 pairs are present. Then coming to the brain, which is a visible brain and which is a distinct brain, and the dorsal nerve cord is present, and a lateral line system is well developed, which is act as a sense organ, and from the brain there are 8 to 10 pairs of cranial nerves are arises. So the nerves which are arising from the brain are known as cranial nerves. In cyclostomes, some of the species consist of 8 pairs of cranial nerves, and some other species consist of 10 pairs of cranial nerves which arises from the brain. And when coming to the reproductive system, in these cyclostomes are the sexes are separate, that is unisexual animals. Some are hermaphrodites, and gonad is single and which is very large, and the gonad doesn't consist any gonoduct, but segmental ducts are present. Here the fertilization type is external, development is either direct or indirect development, and the larval stage is present, and these are mostly found in freshwater and salt water, and always assigned to freshwater streams to breed. So these are the major general characters or salient features of cyclostomata. So then the best example for these cyclostomata is petromyzon, and another example of these cyclostomata is mixin. So when we see the petromyzon, it is commonly called as lamprey, which is located on the coasts and in rivers of Europe, North America, West Africa, and Japan. The family Petromyzantidae consists of 8 or more species, out of which Petromyzon is best known. So it is commonly called as lamprey, in which there are lateral gill slits are present. Then coming to the mixin, so it is commonly called as hagfish, and which are widely distributed in sea coast of both Pacific and Atlantic oceans. It is also found in the waters of North Europe and North Atlantic America and Japan. So then coming to the comparison of petromyzon and mixin. So what are the differences and what are the similarities are present between the petromyzon and mixin? So first character, that is between the petromyzon, which is also called as a lamprey, and another best example of cyclostomata is mixin, which is also called as a hagfish. So when we see the habitat of petromyzon and mixin, the petromyzon is always lives in fresh water, and also it can lives in marine water. So both the fresh and marine waters are habitats of petromyzon, but in mixin these are only persist in marine water, so which are only seen in marine water, which are doesn't occurs in freshwater bodies. And when we see the habitat of petromyzon, it is a external parasite. It lives as a external parasite, and the hagfish, which is a free living animal, which doesn't lives on another animal, and it can also lives as a burrowing animal. So it is also found in burrows, and it act as a scavenger. So when we see the mouth of petromyzon, which is a open mouth, and which is located at the ventral position, and always the mixin consists a mouth which is terminal in position. When we see the barbels, or which is also called as a feelers, which are not present in petromyzon, and barbels are present in hagfish. So when we see the picture of these mixin, so we can observe with the presence of barbels in the case of mixin, but these are not seen in petromyzon. So the barbels are absent in petromyzon, and it can absorb in mixin or hagfish. There are six in number which are supported by cartilage. And when we see the fins of petromyzon and mixin, there are two dorsal fins are present in mixin, and one fin is also located on tail, that is also called as caudal fin. So there are two dorsal and one tail fin is present, and in the case of mixin only one dorsal fin is present, which also poorly developed. In some cases it is also absent. And skin, so when we talk about the skin is less slimy in nature in petromyzon, but in the case of hogfish it is excessively slimy in nature, and eyes are well developed in petromyzon. So here we will see the picture of petromyzon. Here the eyes are well developed in petromyzon, but in the case of mixin it is a vestigial organ, so which are not developed, which can be regarded as a vestigial organ. And coming to the nostrils, these are present on the top of the head and ends blindly in the case of petromyzon, but in the case of hugfish, which is present at the tip of the head and open into the mouth cavity. And when we see the ears, two semicircular canals are present in ear of petromyzon, and a single semicircular canal is present in the ear of mixin. And in petromyzon there are 7 pairs of gills are present, and in the case of mixin 6 pairs of gills are present, and 15 pairs of gills are present in delastoma. And external gill slits are also 7 pairs in petromyzon, but in mixes, even though they consist 6 pairs of gills, which are opens only 1 pair of gill slits. So this is the important character of mixin, that is only 6 pairs of that is only 1 pair of gills slits are present, which and which opens out, and internal gill tubes are united in petromyzon and which are separated in mixin. And intestine is a spiral fold, or which is also called as a diplosole in petromyzon, and intestine of mixin is longitudinal fold, and it is only present. Then coming to the brain of, so in petromyzon the brain is well developed, and which is a clear structure and which is a distinct structure, and in the case of mixin it is poorly developed. And coming to the cranial nerves, there are 10 pairs of cranial nerves arises from the brain of petromyzon. So the nerves which are arises from the brain is known as cranial nerves. It has 10 pairs of cranial nerves, and 8 pairs of cranial nerves are present in mixin. When we see the spinal nerve roots, dorsal and ventral roots are separated in petromyzon, but in the case of mixin these dorsal and ventral roots are united. And in petromyzon the pineal eye is present, but in the mixin which is absent. And when we see the kidneys, advanced mesonephros is present in petromyzon, and in mixin there are only primitive pronephros and mesonephros are present. So urinogenital sinus is two genital pores are present in petromyzon, and in the case of mixin urinogenital sinus is absent, only one genital pore is present. And these petromyzons are unisexual animals, that means the sexes are separate, but these mixins are hermaphrodites, the both, and both male and female reproductive systems are present in same individual. When we see the egg is or ova is a small and which is a spherical shaped structure in petromyzon, but in mixes ova is large and oval oval shaped structure, and cleavage type is holoblastic in petromyzon, and meroblastic type of cleavage is present in mixin, and spawning takes place in the gravel in streams in the case of petromyzon, that is it exhibits anadromous type of migration. So during breeding season it can migrate to seas to or marine water to freshwater bodies, and in the case of mixing the spawning takes place on the ocean bed. When we see the development in petromyzon, there is indirect development takes place during development. There is a larval stage is present which is known as ammocetus larva, but in the mixin there is no larval form is found, hence the development is known as direct type of development. So these are the major comparisons between petromyzon and mixin. Thank you.